Throwaway account post my 34F daughter who's 12 is talking to a 16-year-old boy and I'm concerned. She was being secretive with her phone, so I asked her what she was doing and eventually she told me she was texting a boy. Turns out he is significantly older than her and I'm not sure what's the right course of action. I deleted the Snapchat app on her phone, which is what they were texting on. I'm tempted to tell the school or the boy's parents, but I don't want him to get in a lot of trouble. I'm not sure if anything sexual was going on, but I have no evidence for it. What should I do from here on? I am concerned that my daughter may be talking to guys who aren't good for her. I remember liking older guys when I was young, but that gap is too big. I'm reading the comments, and understandably you seem pretty confused on what course of action to take. But let me put it into a simple concept. There's a boy, 16 years old, 1,000 times more aware of his sexual desires and fantasies, talking to a vulnerable 12-year-old whose body may very well be experiencing its sexual conceptions. It shouldn't matter whether this kid is good or bad. This kid is 16. He is 4 years older than your daughter, who is likely a 7th or 6th grader in middle school. That puts him in around 11th or 10th grade. That gap is terrifying, and not grabbing hold of that situation will likely fuck your daughter up for a long time. He, being the older, smarter, and likely more dominant figure, will be able to slowly groom your child, because that's what a horny teenage boy's mind does. He'll peel back the layers until he has what he wants. Now, maybe this kid isn't that. Maybe this kid is a good kid who just wants to go on flower dates at the local Shake Shack, but it's unfortunately unlikely to be the case, and the former could very well be the reality. My advice: talk to the kid. He's not some little child. Tell him to stay the fuck away from your daughter. Talk to your child. Tell her what she needs to hear, give her a lesson on the harsh realities, and instill her with the knowledge that'll prepare her to make level-headed decisions as she's growing into a teenager. As a 13-year-old girl, I was manipulated into sex by a 17-year-old, who sexually abused me for 7 months and then threatened suicide every time I broke up with him. Number 16-year-old should be talking to a 12-year-old. Be upfront about the dangers and do not hide the evils of the world. It's better for her to grow up hearing that rather than finding out like I did. I have a 4.5-year-old and almost 2-year-old, and I promise that I will have those difficult conversations because they deserve to not feel the hurt I did. Don't just delete the Snapchat app, delete the entire account, or she will be able to just log back in on her friend's phone and continue talking with him. I would focus your child and keeping her out of these situations. I would not call into the school or his parents, but I might send a message to him from me telling him her age, which he might not know, and grade, and letting him know if he has any future contact with her. You will be contacting his parents. 3. In-laws want me to move in. I don't want to. Thank you to everyone who commented on my previous posting asking for advice. I spoke to my boyfriend about what I want: not living with his parents after marriage. I made it clear that I don't mind dating for a longer time before we get married if it means we have more time to save money for our own place. I explained to him that I wasn't going to let cultural or societal pressure guilt me into living with his parents after marriage. I also told him he had a decision to make. He told me he is on board with what I decided. Part of him seemed relieved that he wouldn't be forced to live with his family members who he resents. Told him I would appreciate it if he told his parents so they won't bring it up anymore. He told me he will talk to them as well. I also told him if his mom brings it up again, hopefully she will be respectful and won't. I will tell her the same thing, that we want our own place before we are married. I want to thank everyone who commented. You don't understand how much this means to me. It's been a big stress for me for over a year now, and on multiple occasions I wanted to post about it but couldn't bring myself to. I want to thank you for helping me realize what I truly want and speak up for myself. I finally feel free. I moved out of NYC to buy a house for my parents. They were making plans and finding jobs to move to their house. While that was happening, I was living and taking care of the house. Met a girl that was amazing and started dating her. Due to her living at her job, she had no home in the area and her parents were an hour away. So after briefly dating, I suggested she move in with me. I had plenty of room in the house by myself. She moved in and we lived happily for a year or so, until my parents finally were able to start moving. Got married shortly after she moved in because we were sure we were perfect for one another. So here we are, my wife and my parents in the same house. We had the second floor, they had the first, we shared the kitchen and living room. It was odd. My GF did not feel comfortable despite loving my parents, and my parents adored her. It was a really weird situation and I was stuck in the middle of the two groups. It sucked. I am thankful no one fought and everyone liked one another. I can't imagine if that was the case. Do not live with your in-laws. There is no defined dynamic of whose house is it, and who's in charge, and you get that dynamic through fights. It lasted 3 months or so before we found our own house and moved out. Never back down. He might be planning something, like an emergency where they have to move in. I would do it. Do you mean an emergency where his parents move in with us in the future? So glad you stood up for your wants/needs. Hopefully all goes well with his fam. Just manage your expectations about your boyfriend. Desi men are notorious for putting their family before their spouses and children. I know so many people where the guy makes all the promises in the world, but as soon as they're married it's suddenly all about what his family wants. You need to be 100% clear about everything going forward. His family will interfere with your marriage and your children, and if he's making excuses about moving in, you can be damned sure he'll just go along with it. The best way to see if he will stick to his guns is by him firmly saying no repeatedly to his family. Do not get involved and don't make excuses for him. My friend is Jamaican and her family is like this. Her husband's family too. Same culture. It's so annoying to her, and her husband is planning for his mother and sister to live with them when they buy their house. Yikes. And she's pregnant. Currently they're in an apartment and his mother lives down hall. Neutral face. Mama's boy, smiley face, lol, she gonna have to lay down the law soon. My 15F uncle, 46M, has recently made me feel really uncomfortable. What do I do in this situation? I've never been fond of physical touch. In fact, I can't even remember the last time I've hugged my parents or anything of the sort. Yesterday I spent the night over at my cousin's house, who are around the same age as I am. While everyone else was downstairs, I stayed upstairs on the couch to work on some homework. My uncle came up to say hello and I didn't think anything of it. I had a lot of pillows surrounding me and he ended up sitting on the pillows that were on me. I was in a situation where I couldn't move at all. He's a big guy and was pretty much crushing me. He kept touching my knees and laughing at how I shivered away. He also touched my thigh. Tried calling for my sister, but I'm a pretty soft-spoken person and he said that I'd need to be louder to get her. After noticing how visibly uncomfortable I was, he left. Later that night when I had to take a shower, he kept trying to convince me to shower in the master bathroom. I said I was fine using the one upstairs and he kept trying to convince me by saying there are better soaps and things like that. Eventually he gave up, but I found the whole ordeal to be very strange. I ended up staying up until about 6 AM because I was scared of him coming upstairs, which he didn't. I don't know if I'm overreacting or not. He's always been a touchy person, oftentimes asking me for hugs and to massage his back. I've never questioned it and have walkways obliged. After last night, however, I feel very uncomfortable and I don't know how to move forward with this. I really don't know whether he's just being a normal familial figure or if he has other intentions. Another issue is the fact that if I'm not overreacting, I don't think that telling my mom would be good for her health. She's had the hardest couple of weeks in her life, especially with my grandmother being admitted into the hospital with corona. I don't want to burden anyone right now. What should I do? Hey, I'm an uncle and there are no touch zones. The thighs are one of them. He creeped on you and tried to present it as teasing/bullying you. It could have been interpreted as him just genuinely being a little on the weird side, but the fact that he wanted to convince you to shower in his shower is a huge Huge red flag. Yes, he's attracted to you. Yes, this will not stop without you addressing it with your parents. Get them on your side, say that he overstepped his boundaries. They should make sure not to get him near you again. If they refuse to help you, call the police and inform them that your uncle is inappropriate towards you, a minor. Especially creepy he saw Op was uncomfortable and saying you need to be louder to get help. Freaking yikes. Op, you are not overreacting. You are never overreacting if you are uncomfortable. And this behavior is super creepy / not normal. Women are often taught to make others comfortable, happy over your own personal comfort, which is BS. No is a complete sentence, and I don't want to is a valid reason. I hope you don't have to interact with your uncle a lot, but if you do tell him I'm uncomfortable, stop or just leave, even if he's awkward or he says you're overreacting. You're not. Good luck and take care. Tell your parents about the situation. You're not overreacting if it's something he wouldn't do in front of them. It's something he shouldn't be doing. I know might be hard for you to do, but I think it'll be for the better. Tell your parents ASAP. Never be alone with your uncle. If everyone else leaves the room, go find someone else and hang out near them. Don't be polite / nice to him. If he touches you inappropriately again, make a fuss. Scream, shout stop touching me, etc. He is relying on you not to say anything. His actions are 100% predatory. You've got to tell a trusted adult. Might not have to be your mom right now, but tell someone. Please, this is not normal at all. What happened there definitely 100% crossed a line. You aren't going to overburden your mum. This is something she would want to know. As a mum, I promise you she would want you to feel safe coming to talk to her about this. If you feel you can't speak to her, talk to a teacher or one of your friends' mum. Could you talk to your grandmother?